Tracy here from Curly Seams. I've got another curly short for you this morning. A little bit of an unexpected one because I wasn't expecting to be doing this job, but since I've got to do it, I thought I'd show you how I do it. And that's how to join batting pieces together. So I've just loaded a customer quilt onto the long arm quilting frame. I've loaded the quilt top and I've loaded the quilt backing, and now I've got to put the bit that goes in the middle to form the quilt sandwich. That's called batting in the US or wadding in the UK. The customer supplied me with the batting to use in the project, and she even went to the trouble of joining the batting together for me. Unfortunately, she joined the short ends of the two rectangles together instead of the long ends. So what I got was a very long skinny piece of batting instead of a wide chunky piece. So I'm going to have to rejoin the wadding. Before I do that, let me show you how the customer joined her two pieces together, because she did a great job of what she did, and it's a shame that it was just the wrong end. She's got one piece of batting here and one piece of batting here, and then she's joined them with what's called a herringbone stitch. So the stitch goes diagonally across, takes a little bite of the top fabric, comes across in the opposite diagonal way and takes another bit of the fabric here, and it does this fashion, so it looks like a herringbone. And that's a great way of joining batting together. Some of the downsides of doing that are that A, it takes time because you've got to sit and hand stitch it, and the other thing that you can do, if your stitches are too wide apart, as the batting comes apart, you can get larger areas that aren't joined directly together. Now in the most part, as long as you're quilting, you've got enough quilting stitches and you don't pull your batting during the quilting process, that's going to be perfectly adequate to hold the batting together. Some other methods that you can use a zigzag stitch on your sewing machine to join the two pieces together, or you can use what's called the elastic zigzag, which is a triple stitch zigzag. That also works nicely. So you'll get a few more stitches in there now. So instead of having quite large gaps between the stitching, if you use your machine to do it, you're going to get a much more even density of stitch, and it's going to be a little bit more secure. The downside of using that kind of stitch, however, is it can often compress the batting, so you do need to be careful about that. And if you haven't got these two pieces directly butted up against each other, they can form a hump on the other side. So this is the back of the batting, by the way. If I turn it over to the right side, you can see here that there is a little bit of a raised, it's a little bit raised, not a lot, I mean, but if that was with a zigzag on the machine, often I find that when people do it, you get either an overlap or you get like an extra bunch up of fabric here, which isn't the best thing to have because it can show through onto the quilt when the quilting's done if you're not careful. But with the right density of quilting over the quilt top, that kind of join will be absolutely fine. In the quilting studio, it takes me too long to hand stitch batting together, so I use a product to help me do that job. This particular product is a 1.5 inch wide fusible webbing, so it's got glue on one side and nothing on the other, and you lay it over the two pieces you want to join together. Adjust the temperature of your iron so that it's suitable for this is a polyester product, so you don't want too much heat, but you want enough to actually melt the glue to join the two pieces of batting together. So test it out beforehand, make sure the temperature is correct, and then you literally just iron it on. And that's what I'm actually going to do for this particular job. However, I'm going to do one additional step. So let me show you how I'm going to join these two pieces of batting together. First of all, I want the two pieces of batting to be wrong side up. This is the wrong side of the batting. This is the right side and this is the wrong side. This is an 80-20 cotton polyester blend. So how do I know that this is the wrong side? Well, I can do a couple of things. First of all, I can feel a difference between these two. Like this side feels nice and smooth, that's the right side. And this is the wrong side. I can feel little lumps and bumps. They're not very large, these lumps and bumps, but I can definitely feel them with my fingers. So I know this is the wrong side. And this is the side where all the cotton fibres have been needle punched through to the back. So all the little fibres are poking up just that little bit. And another thing I can do to double check is I can actually separate my batting. So if I actually take a piece of batting, I can actually peel away a little portion of it, and I can see that there's a little piece of what's called scrim, and that scrim is a polyester net which is actually holding all these fibres onto it. Let me see if I can take you down to show you that a little bit better. So here I've separated the batting, so I've very gently peeled it away at one corner, and here is it's a polyester net. It's very, very fine, and what that's actually doing is capturing all of these cotton fibres that have been pushed through. So it's needle punched, so the needle goes through and pushes those cotton fibres, and it gets trapped in that mesh on the back, that scrim. That's called a scrim, so that's on the back there. So I know this is the back of the quilt because I can feel, in fact now you can probably see all these little lumps and bumps, but I also know it's the back because I peeled away and that was where the scrim was, and the scrim is always on the back of this particular brand of wadding. Now not all waddings back there, I keep using the word wadding and batting interchangeable, sorry about that, but they are the same thing, wadding in the UK, batting in the US. So in this particular brand, the scrim is always on the back of the wadding, so I know that's the back of the batting for sure. So I know that this is now the backing of the wadding or the batting. So both pieces are wrong side facing me, and I've overlapped the wadding, so there's about an inch to an inch and a half overlap on the two pieces. So they're not butting up like this, they're overlapping. Okay, and what I then did, use my rotary cutter to take a very shallow curved cut through both pieces of the batting. Now what that means is if I open that up, there's the curve that I've cut, and if I lift the top piece of fabric up and remove it, and then lift the batting up and then take away this bottom piece from the bottom of that cut, you can see that those two pieces are identical curves because they were both cut together at the same time. Now I've done that so that I don't have a dead straight line. When I'm putting piece batting in, if I can avoid having a dead straight piece line, it means that it's not so noticeable to the eye if for any reason that join just does become visible. So let me take you through what I did again. So I had the two wrong sides of the batting overlapped by about an inch and a half. Then I took my rotary cutter and I made a wavy cut through both pieces of batting. So you can see here I've got one piece on the top that I'm going to remove, and if I carefully lift up the other piece of batting, there's the bit from the underneath piece of batting I'm going to remove, and those two are they're exactly the same curve shape, and these excess pieces of batting I can just pull away. So what we've got is two pieces of batting with a wavy line going through the whole length, and those two wavy lines match the right side and the left side of the pieces of batting, so both sides match that curve, and that's exactly what you want. Now I'm going to lay the tape over so it can actually press it in place. So let me show you what we've got. We've got the two pieces of batting or wadding. I've overlapped them by about an inch and a half. I made that gentle curved cut through both of them. I've peeled away the cutaway part from either side of the batting, and then this gentle curve butts together on both sides, and it's the same shape curve on both sides, so it really does nestle together nicely. Then I've laid the fusible tape over the top, the batting tape over the top, and I've made sure that the temperature of my iron is set that it's not so high it's going to melt the tape. I want it sufficient that it melts the glue on the back of the tape, but not so much it's going to melt the polyester tape itself. And then I've ironed that in place. I've got a little bit of cardboard under there because my table actually isn't designed for ironing on. So I'm going to take this little bit of cardboard and I'm going to slide it down the whole length of my piece of batting until I get to the end and everything is secured and in place. And then that should be good to go. I don't need to do anything else. I don't need to do any more sewing or anything. If I pull this to the right side now, this is the right side of the batting. So here it is, so you can see that gentle curve. It's nicely buttered together. I'm going to be very careful when I put this onto the quilting frame so I don't pull or stretch it, so that you do have to be careful about that. But you know, be careful with it and you will be fine. But it's much quicker and much simpler to do it this way than it is to stitch by hand. So that's how I do it. So I hope you enjoyed that little curly short. Thank you so much for watching. If you like this little tutorial, then please give us a thumbs up, give us a like, and give us a comment if you'd like to see any more tutorials like this. Thanks so much for watching. Till next time, bye.